roll it. I have to make an announcement anyway. Okay. So just Mr. David Brady, I sent you you paid for the Haggadah rhymes, but you paid me, but you didn't send me your email. So I don't have any way to send it to you because that was not attached to the payment thing. So if you could please send me your email so I can send you the Haggadah rhymes that you already paid for. Again, David Brady. Okay. We got to yesterday, Perek Aleph Pasuk Tes Vav. We were talking about Malika. Remember, we were speaking about Malika. So, there are quite a few things I want to cover today. In Perek Beis Pasuk, first of all, Aleph Tes Zayin. Aleph Tes Zayin. What page is that? What's that?
548.
Thank you. Okay, so then it says when we're talking about the bird offering, which was brought. We said yesterday the bird offering is brought by a poor man, and the bird offering is brought by a poor man, and then it says that in Pasuk Tes Zayin is 6 lines from the bottom on 548. Vehesir es muroso benotsosa. He should remove the feathers and the crop. V'yishlichos ha'metzah mizbeach keid malkom hadeshen. He removes the crop is the gizzard. How does he translate in the art school? He shall, there it is, the crop with the feathers. Now, if you take a look at in Rashi, I know it's a little hard because it's dark, but we'll manage. So Rashi says, why does he remove the crop? So it's where is it? Where does Rashi said it? It's the top of the left column of Rashi. Rashi says, "Be'of shenizon min hagezel," a bird, because a bird sustains himself with theft. Ne'amar v'hishlich es hame'ayim she'ochlu min hagezel. By a bird, the bird sustains itself with the bird steals, because the bird just goes and eats anything anywhere. So to emphasize that we reject that being offered on the base in the mizbeach, so the crop, the stomach which holds the food, is thrown away. And the Farshim say that this is specifically mentioned by a poor man's offering. We're on page 548. It's specifically mentioned by a poor man's offering because a poor person sometimes can rationalize stealing. A poor person has a rich person who steals, he's just a politician. But a poor person who steals, he has no reason to, he can rationalize it. Hey, listen, you all owe me. And therefore I'm entitled to nip over here and take over here. And the Torah says, no, even a poor man, you're right, it's a test. It's an agonizing test to be poor. But on the other hand, the Torah is emphasizing to the poor man, you bring your atonement, but don't steal. And you are also limited. It's a very, very difficult test. Now, in Perek Beis Pasuk Aleph, it starts now the lowest level of a korban. V'nefesh ki sakriv korban mincha la'Hashem. A nefesh that brings a meal offering. A mincha means it's made out of flour. And the Torah is going to go on to describe 5 different types of offerings that a poor man could bring out of. You could bring it in a dry, on a hard pan. You could bring it with in a soft type of dough in a thicker pan. So didn't they have like a regular pizza and deep dish pizza, right? So you could have a regular korban mincha and a deep dish korban mincha. And there are 5 different types of menachos that a person could, 5 different types of minchas that a person could bring. It's like mincha means an offering. When we're davening mincha means mincha, we just call it it's the afternoon offering. So there are 5 different types. No, I better leave that open. We need as much light as possible. Is there noise coming from there?
There's someone doing cleaning.
Okay, yes, so close it, yeah. Thank you. So the mincha has 5 different types of offerings. Why? Why are there 5 different options? That means a poor man wants to donate flour with oil to the Beis Hamikdash. He can't afford a cow. He can't afford a sheep. He can't afford a goat. He can't afford birds. So he says, all right, I'll donate a mincha. I'll donate some sort of flour mixture with oil and baked. Why are there 5 different types? Why are there 5 different types? 5 different options he has. Whatever he chooses, he could donate.
Depending on what he could afford.
They're all about the same price. They're all about the same price. It's all flour and oil. It's just a question of how it's baked and how it's made. So why does he get 5 different options?
A little personal touch to it.
For what reason? Yes. What does a personal touch do for him?
Makes him more invested in it.
Makes him feel better. Means we spoke yesterday about the Malika, about the hurrying up so the poor man feels good. You're offering, even though it's a flour offering, it's a flour. It's not just, all right, just give it to me. It's like, certain foods, I don't really care how you make it. What are we having for lunch today? Noodles. What kind of, it doesn't matter, just give me the noodles. It doesn't matter. But if you don't know, we have Italian type noodles, we have sweet noodles, so it's like when you go to Shabbos for even kugel. You know how many different types of kugels there are? Like a sweet kugel, there's a pepper kugel, there's your Yerushalmi kugel. Each one is, each one's got its own unique thing. By giving him the option, it makes it feel that this is an important thing. You let him choose. You let him see which one do you want. All to promote. Also, he should feel good. Now, if you look at Pesach Gimel, so the best thing when the lights are out is when they go on. You don't appreciate light. And whenever we have in Israel, blackouts are not uncommon. You have blackouts, like especially in summer when people are running their heat or their air conditioners, and in winter when people are running the heat. Also, there's a blackout, and you're just disoriented, and then also the lights go on. You just feel so good, and so just make kind of appreciate what's happening all the time. So, take a look at Pasuk Gimel. Ve'anoseres min hamincha le'aron ulevanov. What's left over for the mincha offering after they take out a certain amount and burn it on the mizbeach, what do you do with the rest of this flour and oil mixture that was baked? Le'aron ulevanov kodesh kodashim me'ishe Hashem. It goes to the kohanim, they get to eat it. Now Rashi uses a very funny expression here. I don't mean funny, haha. I mean an interesting expression. Right column of Rashi, 6 lines from the bottom. Right column, 6 lines around. Le'aron ulevanov. Says Rashi, Kohen Gadol, everybody see that 6 lines from the bottom. Kohen Gadol notel chelik barosh. The Kohen Gadol gets a portion, 550, 6 lines from the bottom in Rashi. The Kohen Gadol gets a portion first. Shelo b'machlokas, without dividing it up. The Kohen Gadol gets to take as much as he wants. It's good to be the Kohen Gadol. Ve'ahedyot, the ordinary Kohen, b'machlokas. He has to have, he's part of he's divided up with the other Kohanim. But the Kohen Gadol gets to take shelo b'machlokas. So here, shelo b'machlokas means it's being used in the context of without dividing it up. But one of the Mefarshim says over, he takes it completely out of account. What does the word machlokas mean, gentlemen? What's a machlokas? An argument or a dispute. Kohen Gadol, shelo b'machlokas. Kohen Gadol represents a big person, a person who's a quality person, a high caliber person. A high caliber person achieves in life without machlokas. A hedyot, an ordinary person, low caliber person, he needs machlokas. What that means is, I had a student here once who said to me, he used a very interesting expression. He said, if you're good at something, you don't have to talk about it. Because if you're good at something, people will find out. And if you're not good at it, why would you want people to find out? So what do you need to announce it for? You don't have to advertise yourself. If you're good, so people will find out about it. If you're not good, I use an expression at home all the time. Cream floats to the top. Cream floats to the top. People will find, if you're good at something, people will notice, especially if you're capable of making money for somebody. If you're good, people will notice. They'll find you. And if you're not good, why would they want you to find you? There's an expression in the Gemara, B'shimcha yikra'ucha, you will be called by your name, uvimkomcha yoshivucha, you'll be put in your place. I mean, people are fairly good at judging, especially when it's in their own best interest. They're looking for people who've got abilities, and they'll put you where you belong to be. If you're meant to be the vice president of the company, you'll make it. They'll find you. You're good. If you're a good administrator, if you're a good salesman, people will find you. So the Torah is telling you over here, the Kohen Gadol represents a person who's a high caliber person. You don't have to make noise in life and start arguments. Sometimes little people promote a fight in order to get noticed. So they get involved in some sort of dispute or some sort of, let's make noise and this will be our challenge to somebody so that they can get noticed. But if you're good, people will notice you. No, but in all areas of life, you're good, people will find it. And if you're not good, so you don't have to promote it, because cream floats to the top. More than that, so one of the parts, do you ever see a situation, I'm sure when you guys were in school or in either in high school or college or even in shul sometimes, or sometimes you could be in traffic, two people are ready to go at it. Like, come on, you want to go? Right? And then there's a third guy gets in there and says, come on guys, fellas, come on, just calm down. And a few people on the side are sitting there, you're thinking to yourself, get out of there, will you? Let's see some action. Everybody's ready. What do you break it? Come on, this was going to be good, especially in shul where it breaks the monotony. So in life, one of the things that Hashem abhors is a machlokas. Who do we learn that from? Who learned it the hard way? Korach. Oh yeah, Korach learned it the hard way. Korach and his people get swallowed up. They're in Gehenna right now, and they're jumping up and down. What are they yelling there? Moshe. Emes v'torasa emes. Korach and his men, they're jumping up and down. That's why we jump on Simchas Torah, by the way. Moshe emes, they throw the kids up in the air. Hopefully catch them on the way down. You ever see that? You go, Moshe emes. You know why? Because that's supposed to be an imitation of Korach. They're in Gehenna. It's hot down there. Remember bears? We were talking about the dancing bears yesterday. Dancing. They're on hot coals down there. So they're jumping up and down. Moshe emes v'torasa emes. Not too late. Should have said it 1 second before the earth swallowed up. Why? Machlokas. He started a fight. And not only, it's one thing if you fight for yourself. There's some people who are like the third guy in. Even in professional hockey, third guy in is an automatically, I think it's a game misconduct. Two guys are fighting, you're not allowed to get involved there. Third guy in is the worst. Here the Torah is telling you, a machlokas is so bad, and one of the Meforshim says, if you see a machlokas and you're happy about it, you're not even involved. Rav Shteyman says you're taken to task as if you're a member of Machlokas. Not a good idea. You're taken to task with HaKadosh Baruch Hu as if you got something to do with this Machlokas. So anytime you see a dispute, just head in the other direction. It's always the best idea for a dispute. There's a type of fight, unless you could break up the fight, unless you've got the ability to break up the fight. But if you see a fight in general in life, head in the other direction. Okay. Now let's go on to the main thing I want to get to today. Perek Beis Pasuk Yud Aleph. It says. It's 2 lines to the bottom on page 550. We're going to go a few places with this now. It says, Kol mincha asher takrivu Hashem lo se'aseh chometz. It should not be allowed to turn into chometz. Ki kol se'or, any yeast or yeasting agent, v'chol dvash. Dvash in this context doesn't necessarily mean honey. It means any sweetening agent. Lo saktiru mimeno ishel Hashem. You do not use it in the Beis Hamikdash. Nothing. You don't put any yeast in the menachos. These meal offerings. You don't put any yeast, and you don't put any sweetening agent. So, somebody in Israel won an award. Somebody in Israel won an award. They made Pepsi chicken. What are you shaking your head? They had like a contest for the best chicken, and somebody made Pepsi chicken. That won first place, and not only that, I've mentioned it several times over the years to my wife. Yeah, like it would be good. Guess what her reaction has been, Aaron? I don't think you have to guess. You already imitated it. Her reaction is, no, we're not going to do that. I would really like to have Pepsi chicken. I'm telling you, maybe I'll sneak it in one day when she's not looking. I'll just pour in a bottle of Pepsi in the kitchen. When she's getting the Shabbos chicken ready and walks out of the kitchen, I'll have to do that. But what could be bad about it? Pepsi chicken. So I've had wine chicken. You never had wine chicken? Yeah, well, wine chicken is very good. So what could be wrong with Pepsi chicken? So isn't that sweet? What could be bad? Okay. So the Torah says that when you bring a mincha offering, what could be bad? Put in a little sweetener in there. Put a little Pepsi in with the mincha. Because the Torah says no yeast and no honey. No yeast and no honey. Why not? So the Rambam says there's a famous idea that to walk the golden path. What's the Rambam's golden path? The middle of the road. That means in any character trait that we have, we should not be extreme. A person is too generous. If you're extreme on the generosity, you're going to give away all your money. That's not right. If you're too stingy, you're not going to give away enough of your money. What's the correct approach in life? The middle, the golden rule of the Rambam, the middle of the road. The only time you go to the extreme is when you're at the beginning of when you're trying to break a negative trait. Let's say you get angry easily, and you know that you're snapping at people too often. There, you have to go to the other extreme and not get angry even if you should. Even if you see your kid doing something wrong in the house, don't snap at him and don't get angry. You have to break that trait and then let the pendulum swing back to the middle of the road. Yeast is bitter. Dvash is sweet. The Torah is telling you when you bring an offering, kol mincha asher takrivu laHashem. When you're bringing an offering to God, when you're trying to serve God, and part of serving God, not only part of serving God, according to the Vilna Gaon, the main part of serving God is our character trait development. The Vilna Gaon says a person who doesn't work on his midos, what is he alive for? What were we put in this world for? Obviously, you can't then justify things and say, well, I'll work on my midos, but I'm not going to put on tefillin. You have to do whatever we have to do. But we have to develop, we have to improve our character. Says the Torah, the Mefarshim, the Torah is alluding here to the idea, don't be on the extreme. Not too bitter, not too sweet. Except when you're at the outset. Except when you're trying to break a midah. You have a bad midah. You know what? I tend to be too generous. That should be our worst midah, right? I tend to be too generous. Yeah, that's my flaw. I remember they had this mindless actress once on some talk show, and she's talking about her career and putting everybody to sleep. And then finally, the guy says to her, what would you say is your worst fault? She goes, oh, I'm too kind. Too kind. Oh, I see. Yeah, right. The fact that you're a drug addict has nothing. That's okay though. So the Torah is telling you over here, don't go to the extremes. Number one. Number two, the puffing up, chametz. Right. This is very, very relevant to Pesach. What did we say chametz represents? The idea of puffing up. Ego, of course. Very good. And what does sweet represent? The pursuit of pleasure. The pursuit of pleasure. So the Torah is telling you over here, when you bring your mincha to Hashem, when we're serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we should strive to reach a level where we're not doing it to satisfy our ego, and we're not doing it because we're to pursue the pleasure. We're doing it because we have to purely serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. However, take a look at the very next pasuk. Korban reishis takrivu osam. When it comes to the shtei halechem on Shavuos, the two breads that are brought on Shavuos, Rashi says, and the bikurim, the fruits that are brought up to Eretz Yisrael, that's when you bring yeast and honey. Yeast for the bread, honey from the various fruits, symbolic the various fruits. When? That's a limited time. On Shavuos, and on bikurim, when you bring the bikurim to the Beis HaMikdash. But one of them, unfortunately, says brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He says, don't serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu feeding your ego and with the benefit of your pleasure, except for when? Korban reishis, at the outset of your career. Meaning, if when we're starting out, we need some sort of shalol lishma. What's a shalol lishma, gentlemen? Meaning what? An ulterior motivation. That means I need an ulterior motivation. I'm going to give tzedakah. But what's in it for me? Oh, they'll put up a big plaque with your name. You know what? Good, do it. Give the tzedakah. I'm going to learn Torah so that one day I get a lot of honor. Somebody will call me a big rabbi or stand up when you walk into the room. Okay, that's perfect motive. You use that at the beginning. But ultimately, that's when? Korban Reshis. That's at the outset of your career. If you need it to get going, by the way, get going could be for about 50 or 60 years. If you need it to get going, that's fine. But ultimately, what should it be? It should be what the previous pasuk says. It should be Kol mincha asher l'kavod Hashem lo sa'aseh chametz ki kol sar v'chol davash lo saktiru mimenu. That ultimately, the ultimate is to get to a perfect lishma where we're serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu without alternative motivations. Let's be real, gentlemen. Let's be real. We're not that altruistic. And a person, Reb Chaim Volozhin says, when the Gemara says, "La'olam yasok adam b'Torah mitzvahs shelo lishma," person should be engaged in Torah and mitzvahs even with ulterior motivation. Shemitoch shelo lishma ba lishma. Reb Chaim Volozhin says you should have a shelo lishma. You should find a shelo lishma, an ulterior motive. You know why? Because if we don't, we're not going to do it. We're just not that high. We're not that. It takes a long time to get to the point where we're doing it only lishma. So if a person decides, I want to learn this Masechta, because then they're going to be a siyum, and they're going to clap and dance, and I'm going to be the center of attention, that's great. Use that. If that's what you need, use that. And if a person says, I want to, what do you call it? I want to do a lot of chesed, because then people will say I'm a good person, I'm a tzaddik. Good, use that. That's fine. That's fine. Perfect. Wonderful. Do it. Just do whatever you need to do in order to get yourself through the mitzvah. The only time you're not allowed to use a shelo lishma is, you're not allowed to learn Torah, but the Gemara says, al minas lekanter, for the sake of what would be a good word for lekanter? For the sake of provoking people or making people feel bad. That, I knew this and you didn't. Right? I'm learning it just so I could show you're wrong. That is already, the Gemara says, better such a person shouldn't have been born. But if you're learning because the Gemara says, let's say a person wants to study Torah, so he becomes a rabbi, so he'll get honor or wealth. Trying to figure that one out. Where is that wealth? I'm not quite sure, So if you told me you'd be a businessman, I'm going to be a rabbi because you want to get rich. I don't know what you guys are thinking. Yeah, we're just rolling. We're just rolling in the dough. The problem is the dough is real dough. It's like the guy said to his wife, I wish you could make bread like my mother used to make. She said, yeah, I wish you could make some dough like my father used to make. So at the end of the day, I haven't found the rolling in the dough yet. But here the Torah is telling you that. Okay, one more point on this. There's a Gemara that says, I couldn't find the Gemara. I'm looking for it. I couldn't find the Gemara. The Gemara says that if they would put, the Ketoris is? The Ketoris, the incense that they used to burn in the base of Mikdash. The Gemara says that if they would have put honey, there's like 11 herbs and spices, like Kentucky Fried Ketoris. There's 11 herbs and spices in the Ketoris. And the Gemara says if they would put honey in there, in the mixture, the fragrance would be so powerful people wouldn't be able to bear it. You ever walked into a flower store and you're just like, oh, wow, what a great smell. It would just be an unbelievable smell. That's what the Gemara says. If they would mix honey into the Ketoris, the smell, the fragrance would be beyond, that's a Gemara, it would just be an unreal smell. Think of the best smell you've ever smelled in your life. It's the best smell you've ever smelled in your life. Probably a burger and fries right in the middle of Yom Kippur, right? That's probably the best smell you'll ever smell. That's a pretty good smell right there. There's the fragrant, but the Torah said not to do it. That's what the Gemara says. If it would be a great bar kapora. Bar kapora is one of the Amoraim. Bar kapora says if not, or he's a Tana. Bar kapora says if not for the fact that if you would have put honey in, it would be unbelievable smell. But the Torah said not to do it. Okay. Well, obviously the Torah said how to do it, so I know not to do it. What's Bar Kapora adding? What's he trying to emphasize over here? What's Bar Kapora emphasizing? If they would put in honey, it would be great, but the Torah said not to. I know the Torah said not to. The Torah said not to tamper with the recipe. What's Bar Kapora adding with it? What's Bar Kapora emphasizing? He's telling us, don't tamper with the Torah. Don't tamper with the Torah. Even if you think it's a good idea and you're going to improve on it, don't. Because even something that would improve on it, the Torah says no. And certainly our ideas where we think we'll improve on it, and it's not going to improve on it. I think I mentioned to you, the conservative movement started out, what was the first thing they did? They wanted to improve on Judaism. So what did they do? They waived the restriction of driving on Shabbos for the good of Judaism, that people should drive Friday night to shul to maintain Judaism. So if it's such a good idea, why are all the conservative shuls in Chicago have all turned Orthodox today? Almost every conservative shul that I grew up with in my neighborhood in Chicago, there was no second generation, certainly no third generation. Didn't last. Can't last. Because you've changed something authentic into something artificial. Artificial doesn't last. So the Torah says, even honey would be great. No. I know you think it would be great. You ever see somebody tamper with a recipe or tamper with music? You know, we play a tune, and some musician decides to play the tune for you, but he's got to put in his little shtickle over there. And he just ruined it. You got a recipe, you got a great recipe. I always tell married women, leave raisins out of the house. Raisins are not good for shalom bayis, right? Sometimes women think if it's good, raisins will make it better. And there are people who like raisins, but I don't want any raisins mixed in with my French fries, and I don't want any raisins in my pizza, and I don't want any raisins in my kugel. My mother, she live and be well, she used to make kugel for Shabbos, half with raisins and half without, bless her, because I didn't like the raisins. So half the kugel was with raisins and half the kugel was without. The problem is that the people who like with the raisins, they also liked without the raisins. That was the problem. I was limited to half of that kugel. My brother could go either way, you know. So that was always unfair. But at the end of the day, she did that for me. She made half without raisins. Don't add. Adding kol hamosif gorea. If you add, you're detracting. If you add, you detract. Yes, Andrew.
Thoughts on oatmeal raisin cookies?
What's that?
Oatmeal raisin cookies.
No, we don't do that. We don't do that. I know people like that. People just love oatmeal raisin cookies. The raisins got me nervous.
Oatmeal cookies.
You can make oatmeal cookies without raisins. I've argued this with my wife over the years. You could just leave the raisins out. It's not a halacha. You don't have to put them in. No, that's what the recipe calls for. It's not a Shulchan Aruch, it's a recipe. The Yisrael Mishpacha magazine. Why is that? No, that's the way it's got to be. Okay. Yeah, so it's brownies for me. Now, take a look at Pasuk Yud Gimel. Oh, you're going to love this. Take a look at Pasuk Yud Gimel. So the Torah says, okay, here we go. Page, what I can't see now, 552. Rabbi Chol, any hope for the lights?
I think the circuit breakers are by Salinger's office, and it's locked.
Well, yeah, so we break the door down. That's all. You know, never stopped us in high school. Chas v'shalom, I'm just joking. There were guys in my high school. They had keys to every office in the building. The guys who I wasn't in the dorm. The guys in the dormitory, in the Yeshivat dormitory, somehow they had access to everything. They just had access to everything, which was very helpful. Finals time. I'm only saying. The 2 lines from the top. V'chol korban minchascha b'melach timlach. Every mincha has salt put on it. V'lo sashbis melach brisa lokecha me'al minchasecha al kol korban chatachri melach. The meat in the base of English also had no salt on it. Salt, yes. Now listen to this. This is a very interesting idea. Salt, number one, it's called a bris melach, a covenant of salt. Why? Salt's a preservative. Salt preserves other things. Salt does not go stale. I've never been at a table where somebody said, I think the salt is off. The salt preserves other things. So number one, the salt is put on the meat in the mizbeach, in the Beis Hamikdash, because when you serve meat, you always put some sort of flavoring in the meat, right? Sometimes Pepsi. You flavor it with something. The meat, nobody just takes a slab of meat and serves it plain. You roast the meat and put it out. You put some sort of, what do you call it, barbecue sauce on it or some other chazarai, whatever you put on there on the meat. So in honor of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we put salt on either the menachos, you put salt on the meat, number one. Number two, salt draws blood out. Now I told you, now isn't that a wonderful feeling? Salt draws the blood out. I just had a bright idea. Salt draws the blood out. And when salt draws the blood out, the pagans, apparently, when they brought their offerings to their idols, they dafka kept the blood in. And blood was part of they kept the blood in the meat. We draw the blood out of the meat. Ironically, we're going to use the blood to sprinkle on the altar. We are going to use blood, but not in the meat itself. And you know that when we eat meat, the meat has to be koshered. Meat has to be koshered. The blood is drawn out. But one of the Mefarshim says like this. There's a famous book, I don't remember, it's called Why Bad Things Happen to Good People or When Bad Things Happen to Good People. Why? Is it Why Bad Things Happen? By a Reconstructionist rabbi named Kushner. I think it was Harold Kushner. This was a massive selling book. Unfortunately, the ideas presented in the book are not consistent with Torah thought. This Rabbi Kushner suffered a terrible personal tragedy. He had a son who was suffering from something called, I don't remember the official medical term, but it's called rapid aging disease, where he's got no symptoms other than his body goes through, he becomes old, dies of old age. I think he was 8 years old, and at 12 years old, he died of old age. He looked old, everything about it, the body deteriorated like an older person's body. So he went through this terrible tragedy. So we cannot judge him on a personal level. But then he writes his entire idea of why bad things happen to good people. Our Rabbi Gottlieb has a whole discussion of how we decide who's good people and who's not, but assuming. Given everybody is just wonderful, why do bad things happen to good people? So his theory is, or his hypothesis, or what he presents, is that God controls the good in the world, but there are forces of evil which operate outside of God's jurisdiction, and they hit and strike randomly and haphazardly. That's the basic idea they present in the book, which is obviously not inconsistent with Torah outlook, because Torah outlook is God controls everything. Number one. Number two, this was meant to comfort people. This book was meant to comfort people. I mean, to live with the belief that bad happens randomly and haphazardly. That don't give you any comfort at all. Then you wouldn't be able to sleep at night. Anything could happen. So the Torah idea is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates everything. Now, one of the problems they had in the ancient world, in the ancient philosophies, was how could God control the extremes? Now, if I'd ask you, name the two most opposite things that come to mind, what would you say? Men and women, which is really the ultimate opposite is really manifested men and women, which is what? Fire and water. Men are water, women are fire. The other extremes are obviously the Cubs and the White Sox. But the fire and water are what we consider incompatible. Water douses fire. They cannot coexist. The Mizbeach is evidence of God controlling the world, right? The Mizbeach, the Korbanos, were paying tribute to the fact that God does run the world. And not only runs the world, he runs the extremes. Where does salt come from?
The Dead Sea.
Comes from the sea. And if you put salt on something long enough, what will it do? It'll burn through. So salt contains within it the extremes. So we're putting the salt on the Mizbeach, we put the salt on the offering to show that the same way that salt itself is in a certain way made up of the extremes, it carries the extremes within it. So to the Mizbeach, the altar where we're paying tribute to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we're paying tribute by bringing the salt that shows that HaKadosh Baruch Hu controls everything, controls the extremes. That's what the Mefarshim say, number one. Again, I'm not judging Rabbi Kushner himself. He went through. We can never judge somebody who went through personal tragedies, personal difficulties. But the idea itself is completely not consistent with Torah. Of course, Baruch controls everything, and however even with angels and with demons, it's all still functioning under HaKadosh Baruch Hu's control to the nth degree. Number one. Number two, I want you to look at the word melach. Look at the word. Do you see it says melach in the second line from the top? V'kol korban minchascha b'melach timlach. Okay. So, have you ever heard the idea? The Gemara says, "Kol hamavir al midosav mavirin lo al kol pishav." One who's willing to overlook the wrongs done to him, HaKadosh Baruch Hu overlooks all of his wrongs, all of his averas. That means if somebody wrongs you, and people wrong us all the time, maybe we wrong people too, yet you're willing to overlook it. What's the expression we use nowadays? Just get past it. That was not an expression we grew up with, but that's one of your expressions. Get past it. And you are willing to get past it, and somebody cut you off in traffic, and you don't drive 20 miles out of your way till you got payback, till you can finally cut them off again. We once met an Israeli guy in America. My dad asked him, "How can you drive the way you drive in Israel?" So the guy started laughing. He says, "Listen, if somebody cuts me off, I got to cut him off back. And he'll drive all the way. He'll drive to Gaza to do it. He'll go up to Tveria. He'll drive 20 miles out of his way just to cut him off." So if in life, if you're willing to overlook what somebody does to you, so that brings a merit. The Gemara says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgives you. He wipes your slate clean. And I got news for you. If the effect is so powerful, the thing that brings about the effect is not easy. If it would be so easy, there would be such a powerful effect. That's a rule in Torah, by the way. If we find that there's a big reward and there's big, powerful results, that means something difficult. It was a challenge, and that means that when your wife happened to breaks a piece of equipment in the house because she wasn't careful with it, especially Erev Pesach, and you just go, and you don't say anything. You don't make any comments about her mother. You just get on with life. That's every husband's fallback position, especially when you're losing the argument. Your wife's got you backed into a corner. You just kind of, yeah, but your mother's got a big, what's that got to do with anything? But that's everybody's fallback position. See, your wife messed up. She got a ticket because she double parked in front of a police station. Didn't you see the the cops? No, I was in a hurry. I mean, didn't you see like blue lights? No, I was nervous. I mean, 3 tickets? I mean, I don't want to talk about it. And she gets to walk away. Women have that prerogative. Men never do, by the way. You can never walk away. Women always get to walk away. And at a certain point, you say, I don't want to talk about it. And off they go into the sunset. Try it as a husband. You're finished. Yeah. Where's the paycheck? Well, I went to I was at the casino the other day. But what about, what about milk, cheese? The kids need new shoes. I don't want to talk about it. Oh, yeah, you're going to sing like a canary, buddy. Either that or you're going to get used to tuna fish real quick. You're going to talk. So you say, and you're willing to not say anything. You overlook it. Call on Mavir al Midosa. Your slate is wiped clean. Slate is wiped clean. Did you ever hear of the Sdei Chemed? The Sdei Chemed was an encyclopedic work which was written by a tremendous Talmid Chacham named Rabbi Chizkiyahu Medini. And Rabbi Chizkiyahu Medini wrote this encyclopedia. It's like a Talmudic encyclopedia without computers and without any, just purely because of his Torah scholarship. I think he lived. I think he's around the turn of the 20th century. I don't remember exactly when he was. When was he? Rabbi Chol, do you know when he was the Sdei Chemed? But he wrote this all without any outside help. No computers, no nothing. What happened to Rabbi Chizkiyahu Medini? When he was a young man, he was learning with a group of other scholars. And apparently he had a lot of potential. And one of the other scholars was very, very jealous of him. They were learning in a shul, or at a kollel of some sort, whatever was happening in one of the Sephardi countries. And one of the other scholars was jealous of him. There was a cleaning lady, an Arab cleaning lady. And this other scholar went to the cleaning lady. Reb Chizkiyahu Medina was the first one into the shul every morning. And he went to this cleaning lady and he paid her off to go and blacken his name. So one morning he walks into the shul, and this Arab cleaning lady was there, and she starts screaming and yelling, and a crowd gathers, and how could you do something like that? And it was so inappropriate. And they shamed him, and he had to leave town. So he left town, and he went to the nearby town, and he would learn alone in the shul. A couple of months later, he gets the door of the shul opens, and this Arab cleaning lady walks in. And she looks at him, she says, do you remember me? I say, yeah. She goes, because I want to tell you, after you left, the head of the shul, he did not believe the story. He knows you're innocent, and so he immediately fired me from my job. I had enough money from what the guy paid me. I had enough money to survive until now, but now I'm out of money. I would like you to intervene on my behalf and ask the boss if he could reinstate me in my cleaning job. Oh. He goes, yeah, I know, and I'll make a deal with you, and then I will make a public announcement that I made up the whole story and that you're really innocent. She said, let me think about it. He said to her, I'll make the deal with you on one condition, that you never tell anybody that I'm innocent and you don't make the public announcement. I said, why not? So he explained, either to her or later on to others, he explained, there has already been a desecration of God's name, that people think he did this. If she goes and makes a public announcement, there's going to be another desecration of God's name, that a Torah Jew could behave that way to go and try to blacken somebody else's name. He said, I will accept the offer, except that apparently this only came out later. And he said about himself that from that moment on, the gates of wisdom somehow opened up in his mind, and he even expanded further, and eventually he wrote the Stei Chemed, which was the authoritative Talmudic encyclopedia. The ability to overlook, to forgive. Sometimes they say, I'll forgive, but I don't forget. That means you haven't forgiven. If you forgive, in Israel, they say, Ani soleach, aval ani lo shocheach. I forgive, but I don't forget. That means you haven't forgiven. That means you haven't forgiven. My brother, I think I told you once, my brother was sitting, I think he was eating an orange. So I walked up behind him and I flicked his ear. His ear needed flicking. So I flicked his ear. And so he jumped up and started chasing me around the house. I wasn't going to let it go. Eventually, I'm a big chicken. So I ran, and he had me cornered, and he had his fist up in the air, and he's ready to go. And so I appealed to his religious sensitivities. I said to him, you can't hit me. I said, why not? I said, it's revenge. So he looked at me for a second. He goes, it's not revenge. I'm starting from new. And he proceeded to pound me. And it's my younger brother. At a certain point, he got strong. And so he started, he didn't forget. He didn't forget it. That starting from new doesn't mean that he forgave the first time. That's revenge by any other name. That's revenge. The ability to overlook, to forgive. Take a look now at the pasuk. Look at the word melach. Leave the bays out for a second. And the third line, it says melach. If you rearrange the letters of melach, you get mochel, which is forgiving. And if you look at the second line, timlach, if you rearrange those letters, then you get the word timchal, forgive, the command form. Now read the pasuk. V'chol korban minchascha b'melach timlach. With forgiveness you shall forgive. Says, who is it who says it? I forgot the one in the Meforshim says, the most potent sacrifice, the korban you could make, the most potent korban you could make is to be willing to forgive people. And I got news for you. It's easier to bring a calf to the Beis Hamikdash as an offering, which costs you $500. That's a lot easier than forgiving people. That's the biggest korban that a person could bring, but melach timlach, that you actually go and forgive people. That's the biggest offering. I just want to show you one more point very quickly. Skip down towards the bottom, toward Perek Hey Pasuk Yud Ches. Just one last point very quickly. As Reb Chaim Kanievsky points this out, If it's talking about a person who does a shogeg is an unintentional avera. And the question always becomes, why do you have to bring a korban for an unintentional avera? I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't do it on purpose. Yeah, right, you didn't. Of course you didn't do it on purpose. But it obviously wasn't that important to you. If it would have been more important to you, then you wouldn't have done it. I flicked the light switch on Shabbos, but I didn't do it on purpose. Right. And if I would have given you $1,000 to make it through Shabbos without flicking a light switch, you would have succeeded. Because you would have taped down the light switch, or you would have taped your arms to your sides, or you would have sabotaged the entire electric supply of the city. But one way or another, you would have figured out how to get through Shabbos without flicking that light switch. It just wasn't important enough to you. That's all. I use this line at home all the time also. If my kids didn't do something or forgot to do it, I would just say, if you didn't do it, it just means it wasn't important enough to you. Because when it is important, you do it. I think I told you I once lost it was something my father, all of Shalom, had to teach me. Because growing up, whenever I would mess up, which was not an uncommon occurrence, and as a teenager, I would say to my dad, Dad, I didn't do it on purpose. So my father said to me, I didn't say you did it on purpose. Of course you didn't do it on purpose. Why would you do it on purpose? But obviously it wasn't that important to you if you did it, or you didn't do it, or you forgot it, or you broke it. Remember, I lost the calculator. It was the day after he bought it for me. It was expensive. It was a $50 calculator. That was a lot of money in those days. By the next day, I was a junior in high school. The next day, I lost it. And I don't know. I can't. To this day, I don't know how I lost it. And so, my dad wasn't happy. And I said, I didn't do it on purpose. He said to me, yeah, but you didn't lose your baseball glove, which is true. It's hard to pick up a ground ball with a calculator. And frankly, I got a lot more use out of my baseball glove than my calculator, and it was a whole lot more important to me. So that's what now, one point, we finish with this. In Pasuk Yud Ches, this is talking about somebody who doesn't know if he messed up or not. He has two pieces of meat in front of him. One is the forbidden fats, chelev, and one is shuman. Chelev is a prohibition of eating. You're not allowed to eat the forbidden fats of a kosher animal. And the penalty is kares. Shuman is permissible fats. Now this guy doesn't know which one he ate. But he knows he ate one of them, so he has to bring a korban. What's the korban called? It's an asham talui. Asham talui means a suspended guilt offering. That means until and unless you find out and determine what you did. So the Torah says on page 564, 4 lines from the bottom. Vehevi 564, 4 lines from the bottom. What's that?
Yeah, we were.
564. Vehevi ayil tamim min hatzon be'erkecha la'oshem alakohen. You should bring a ram as a guilt offering. V'chiper olav hakohen. The kohen should be atoned for him al shigigoso, on his unintentional avera, asher shagag, which he did unintentionally. V'hulo yada, he doesn't know, v'nislach lo, and he'll be forgiven. Now, Reb Chaim Kanievsky Zatzal, he asked the following question. This guy's bringing a korban, he's bringing a guilt offering. He may have eaten chelev and he may have eaten shuman. It could very well be that he did nothing wrong. It could very well be that he ate kosher meat. So why does it say shigigaso asher shogag, the unintentional sin which he did unintentionally? And the shogeg means you were guilty for doing it unintentionally. So Reb Chaim Kanievsky says that's where you're guilty. What do you mean you don't know if you ate? Okay, you made a mistake. What do you mean you don't know if it was kosher or not kosher? You don't know which one you ate. There's still an element of not having been careful enough. If there was 2 cookies on the table and I told you one of them has cyanide in it, you would never have ended up in this situation. You would have found out about the cyanide long in advance. You would have checked it out if you know that there's cyanide lurking in the vicinity. So if a guy goes and does it, there's a shigigoso asher shogag. The shogag was that you didn't bother to find out before getting into the situation. That's what Reb Chaim says. That's the extra word shagag. And that's a lesson for everything in life. If it's important enough to us, we won't mess up like that. And if we do mess up, it's a rule in life. Okay, obviously there are exceptions. But most of the time, if we mess up, it means it just wasn't important enough to us. If I go shopping and I forgot to buy the cucumbers, I forgot to buy the kohlrabi or whatever it was that was on the list, and I just forgot to buy, it just wasn't that important to me. Because if it was something that I needed, then I wouldn't have forgotten it. And it just, if I forgot it, it just wasn't important. Yeah. Somebody asked me a question. Yeah, Aaron, go ahead.
I was going to ask, is this where the Ashamnu comes from?
Ashamnu means we're guilty. Yeah, Ashamnu, we've sinned. Yeah, that's the word. That's what Ashamnu means. Exactly. Very good. That's exactly what Ashamnu means. And it doesn't even we did it on purpose. We were reckless. We were careless. We were. What's the word in English? Apathetic. If it was, in any range of those words, either careless or reckless or totally apathetic or not careful enough, whatever it is. All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Hey.